Good afternoon and welcome to NFTs Live. I'm your host, Tyler D. It is Friday, April 29th, and we are back after a few weeks off. We are coming off some of the craziest weeks in NFTs, maybe of all time. And this weekend has the makings to be the single biggest event and sale that we've ever seen. We got a huge announcement preview last night from the Otherside that's changed the game, and I've got Brett Richey on with me here today to break it all down. Brett, how you doing?
Doing great. Let's get into it. Big weekend.
Awesome. So on the docket for today, we're going to start with everything Otherside, this huge sale on Saturday. We're going to talk about last night's announcement and all of its impacts. We're going to take a look at ApeCoin and the price action, talk primary market predictions as well as secondary market predictions, walk through the bull case and the bear case for the NFT, and then the broader NFT market impact. From there, we're going to talk ENS Mania, what's been going on and what is next, or if this is just a big bubble. We're going to talk Artifact, their monolith reveal, their new kicks, and the evolution news. Then we're going to take a look at the weekly market movers with the focus on Ragnarok. We're going to take a look at the floors on WGMI, and then end the show with a few minutes taking a look at some upcoming drops. Sound good?
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it. So, top story, we've been prepping for weeks for Yuga Labs' The Otherside sale, which we knew is going to be tomorrow, Saturday. But we got a big groundbreaking announcement last night from their Twitter. So we're going to show it and then break it all down. So last night, 8:37 Central, Dutch auctions are actually bullshit. So other deeds will be sold for a flat price of 305 ApeCoin. They also said that they heard from the community. They want more time for ApeCoin pre-approvals, which I don't really understand. But they're using that as an excuse to move the time of the sale back 12 hours. So now the sale will be 9 p.m. Eastern, where it was previously going to be noon. So a pretty big time shift there as well. And then they posted an article kind of explaining their thoughts here that went into this. Why they went off the Dutch auction. They think there's going to be huge demand. So what they're essentially doing is running this in waves. And they outlined how they're going to do it. So it's always going to be 305 ApeCoin per NFT. We got news on the total supply. The total supply is going to be 55,000. And they're going to set it at a limit of 2 NFTs per wallet for essentially the first wave. And then they have an example down here where it says wave 1 mint up to 2. Once gas returns to reasonable levels, they'll open it up to wave 2, where you can mint up to an additional 4, so on and so forth. So 2 huge pieces of news in this announcement. One, well, really 3. So one, now we've got the price, 305. We know the supply is 55,000. A little bit to unpack there. And then the biggest news is the wallet limit and these potential waves. So first, Brett, what was your reactions to all this news here in this announcement?
So I think it's a great announcement. I think they did a good job. The only people upset are like the big whales, or potentially people who think the price is too high. But the people that were fine, there were some rumors that you could do up to 45. People that wanted to like fire a ton of gas and try and get 45 at the Dutch auction right away. Those are the only people upset. I think this is a very fair metric that gives everyone a shot. Like pretty much everyone's going to get 2. Anyone who wants 2 is going to get 2. I think if you look at the wallets, which is great. And you don't have to worry about if it started at 500, right? And then the whales, they might have just bought it out because I think that still is a good buy. Honestly, where I think secondary is going. And then now I think there's a decent shot at getting 4 also. And, some people are just going to get 1, but I think it's fair because it lets basically everyone can get what they want. And then the max is going to be pretty distributed. You're not going to have people, again, with 45 that just buy the sale out right away. So I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree with you definitely on the distribution piece. This seems to be one of the most fair ways they could do it. So I want to show the price action. We're taking a look at the 1-hour chart here. So ahead of this announcement, there was this crazy run up in the coin. It ran all the way up to like 27. I think it may have touched 28. I think potentially some short squeezing going on in there. it bounced back down to like 24, 25. And then the announcement came out and we see this huge red candle. It basically dropped down to 21. And it kind of chopped overnight, but now it's been steadily increasing. And my read on that is yesterday, all the whales who had accumulated a ton of ETH to max fire at this potentially sold off their extra, as all the hype and speculation last night was with this new rules, everyone's only going to get 2. Most of the people sold off, and then it's been kind of steady buying here today. So I'm curious for your reactions to the coin price here. Are you surprised it's up today from kind of where it bottomed yesterday? Expected?
I thought it would drop more. So I had Ape ready for the sale. I sold it in sort of, panic sell right at that announcement, because I'm like, well, I think people are only going to need enough for 2 plots of land. So I sold. I was like, I think I'll buy back cheaper. And then this morning, actually last night, I saw it was still like over 21 or 22, which I was like, that I thought it might hit 16 or something again, or 19. And so that was almost like I almost just bought it back before I went to bed, because I didn't want it to run on me overnight. And then I woke up. We're in our Discord chat. I saw people showing like how many wallets had enough Ape or whatever, and like seems likely we're going to get a wave 2 and maybe even a wave 3. So I basically just put the ETH I had back into Ape right before we did this show. So I lost a little. I think I sold like 21.50 and bought it 22.50 maybe. So I'm not a trader, right? That's why usually if I try and get too fancy, it's a small haircut, but it's not nothing. But that was my own fault pretty much.
No, I did pretty similar. I sold some on the news yesterday because I had acquired a decent sized position. What everyone was saying is now, we're only going to get to round 1. But you alluded to this. There's some interesting KYC data circulating around, and it's not confirmed. But what it's showing us is there aren't nearly as many KYC wallets out there that people think there are. And of those that are KYC'd, a lot of them, the majority, don't really have that much Ape. And, if you go back to the announcement, I keep coming back to this too. It's very telling to me that they put such a focus on these waves. I don't think Yuga would have introduced this wave structure if they thought it was going to sell out in wave 1.
Yeah.
At least to me. So I feel like there's high probability we're getting to wave 2. And I think there's a good shot we actually go beyond that.
Yeah. My plan is to have enough Ape for 2 waves, along with a plan for if there is a wave 3 to move into more Ape, like after wave 2. Because I don't want to I do think that price very well could go down after that. I don't want to just be holding a ton of Ape. I don't really mind it because Yuga's going to be locking it up. Like I think buying like after the sale Ape is an interesting play too. But again, I'm not a trader. So I'm like, if I think I have a decent shot at getting 2 waves worth, I'm going to do that and then have that plan in place for the 3rd wave if necessary.
Yeah, there's some interesting mechanics in all of this because, in a gas war situation, you're probably not going to be able to really do an ETH for Ape swap very well and use it effectively in the time window. But with what they're doing here, with as soon as gas returns to reasonable levels, it seems like, hey, like, are we going to get 15-minute waves? Are these going to be 30-minute waves?
I think there's a window. That's my guess. Is I'll be after wave 2. If there's still a bunch out, I'll be able to swap into more Ape. If need be, but if not, whatever. It's not the end of the world if I'm only getting the 2 waves worth. To me, this is a beautiful scenario.
Yeah, agree. So I'm feeling pretty good about this. So primary, we've kind of talked through our predictions here. We think it could very well get to the 2nd or 3rd wave. Of course, it's going to sell out. What are your initial thoughts for secondary? We've seen predictions 2x, 3x, 10x already. So kind of where are you landing with kind of expectations and what it might take to get there on secondary? I
mean, it is a big supply, right? It's going to be 100,000 plots, maybe only 85,000. I don't know what they're doing with that 15 they're holding back. But I'm still quite bullish, right? The price that we're paying in Ape right now is about the price for a Decentraland plot, which is 100,000 units. It's 2.4 ETH floor. I will be shocked if this isn't at least double that. Like, I really think it's going to be over 5 ETH floor pre-reveal, because you have a chance at a Coda, which is their next 10K set. You have a chance at Rare Land. Like that's the floor price for Decentraland. And to me, Yuga Labs, I know Decentraland has been around forever, but Yuga is really the hottest brand in the space. And as we saw with Moonbirds, there's all this money sitting on the sidelines waiting to fire into good projects, quality projects, like whatever that entails. Moonbirds obviously passed that check for a lot of people. There's nobody more quality than Yuga Labs in the entire space, at least in terms of sentiment from how the space feels. So I think there's a ton of money sitting on the sideline. There's a bunch of people that got shut out of the KYC. Like, we know multiple, pretty decent sized whales that got shut out and are looking to get land. And that's just like our small little group. Like, there's other, way richer, way bigger people out there, institutions. And I don't really care about supply. Like, if you're looking at market cap, I think that this space really is a more unit price driven space. It's by far the cheapest entry into Yuga for now. I think it might flip dogs even in a real upside scenario. I think that, I think it's the double, if not, with upside for more.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I think we're actually almost entirely aligned on everything that you laid out there. So I think the bull case is this absolutely will require outside money coming in. Like the money in our
I'll bet my life against like 10 cents. There's a bunch of outside money coming in.
Agree. So if that domino falls, if that assumption holds true, then I think this will absolutely be a bullish secondary market. And what I mean, defining bullish there as anyone who mints has upside. It would be pretty shocking that the secondary market goes below the mint value if there's any amount.
I would be I think I'd lay 20 to 1 against that.
I think the bear case, and you touched on this, the 100K supply is a lot, right? We haven't really seen this hyped of a drop with this large of a supply. So, Moonbirds did 50,000 ETH in its first 24 hours. That set the daily record. That 50,000 ETH is only 10,000 plots selling at 5 ETH, right? So a lot of this is going to depend on what amount of supply is listed. If it does indeed get botted in some capacity, if people are looking for 20 to 40% gains, or if people are kind of holding out for more, and how that secondary market really gets set. So, and then the other piece is how the reveal is handled. So if it's unrevealed and there's a coda shot, I think that will set the market. That's
what I'm banking on with my prediction. Is there's like a period of pre-reveal trading where you can get an you still have that shot at the coda. If it's the straight up floor piece, then I don't think it's necessarily going to be 5 ETH or higher. I think that could settle at 3 or something, but I still think it's going to be higher than Decentraland or Sandbox. They're both 100K sets about, and I do think that even though Yuga's brand new and those guys have built stuff, they're going to, for now at least, they're going to beat them in floor price.
I think I totally agree. I think another couple of bullish indicators. Bored Apes are at 152. They didn't sell. They didn't sell off. People looking to go ham on land. In fact, money is flowing in. Mutants are back over 40. They're at like 41 this morning. That's a great indicator to me. I do not see them crashing. I think personally, I don't see the ApeCoin crashing after the sale either. Most of the people who've been buying it for the NFTs, that 10 to 15% of the supply is going to get locked up. I think Yuga will have some kind of announcement for how the ApeCoin will be used post land sale. I've said, I think there's a shot that there's a secondary market that's ape only. Certainly that's not a lock, but it's an option on the table, or else they'll at least roll out. Yeah, that seems to be the general sentiment, is folks don't want that.
There's execution risk in building a marketplace, right? It's not that easy to do, especially in your own coin. Now they don't have all the sets, right? If it's just focused on Yuga assets, you can really focus on a marketplace with features that really benefit those users. But there's not much execution risk in dropping JPEGs, right? Now when you have to build and ship stuff, there is. So I'm still kind of a short, medium term trader in terms of this land. I'm not necessarily like just buying it to lock it up for the long term. I'm looking at least to take my like initial buy back, maybe free roll the rest. If I can, right? I'm assuming that I will be able to. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. Looking forward to it.
And then last question, kind of what are your thoughts on how this impacts the overall market? So I'm showing the daily candles here. We see that the big spike on April 16th, that was the Moonbirds day. We saw how the markets were basically dead for a full week. Daily liquidity numbers were around 70 million or so. We haven't had that as much for the days leading up to Yuga until really the last 2 days, but we're still at 110. Today's looking pretty low, but we don't have all the data here yet. Do you think we see a blow off candle higher than what we had for Moonbirds?
Have to.
What is next?
I think it'll be the biggest. But I mean, it's weird because it's Saturday night at 9, so it's like maybe it gets split between Saturday, Sunday, sort of the volume depending when the sale ends. But like that Sunday, I think is going to be the biggest volume day in history. It almost has to be with 100,000 of these super in demand plots. There's going to be a lot of turnover. You know, Moonbirds was only 10,000 pieces, and they were. They were over 10 ETH right away, on their way to 30. This, I think, is going to be below 10 for quite a while because you still got to churn through a lot of people that are, you can flip for 2 or 3x before you get to 10 ETH. So, I think it's going to be the biggest volume day ever. And then again, we have outside money that I believe is coming in, and so then there's a lot of, I think, smaller wallets, medium wallets that are going to be getting sort of a payday from this. And typically in NFTs, if you get a payday from something, you look to reinvest that, or 70% of it into other NFTs. So I think it's pretty bullish for the whole space. I think if you're not KYC'd, now is a good buying time if there's a set you're eyeing, because a lot of things dipped for people to get money for this land sale. And I don't know which ones, but some of these sets are going to go on a tear next week or starting on Sunday even. And because there's just this liquidity coming into the system. It's almost like the Looks airdrop, right? That brought a lot of crypto money in from outside NFTs, and that was like good for the space for like a month almost. So I think it's gonna be something similar here.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. We had the Moonbirds influx. That money is in the ecosystem currently. A lot of people anecdotally haven't thrown that at new products yet because of Yuga, but then it's going to be no holds barred next week. And I think we could absolutely see a blow off week. So I think we covered it in good detail. Certainly we'll be reporting back and following this one closely, which very well may be the launch of the year. Another headline from this week, and one I want to at least briefly touch on, is ENS Mania. It kind of crept up on us from nowhere. But we started seeing chatter early in the week that all the 3-digit ENS domains, so the 3 numbers like 123.eth, all sold out. And then folks like DFarmer were saying, I'll buy any of your 3-digit ENS for 3 ETH or less. Just DM me. And that floor is now set over 3. And then like the very next day, all the 4-digit ENS domains sold out here. Yeah, at 10 p.m. on the 26th. And now it's kind of functioning as a PFP or a community. So the 10K Club opened up a Discord. Anyone who's got the 3 or 4-digit ENS can get in there. And they're already talking about some IRL meetups. So I'm curious for your reaction to this, Brett. Is this the real deal? These good buys? Are we in an ENS bubble right now, or what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think ENS is cool. I think there's value in certain ones, like 305.eth, for example, would be a great one. You see Bored Apes set the price at 305 ETH. That's because 305 is the Miami area code. Like that's where Bored Ape is based out of. It's also a popular, like a cool city. So I think that one makes a lot of sense. But like a random number like 5486.eth, I think you're just playing greater fool speculation here. I don't necessarily see those. It feels like a very forced narrative, and I don't consider it a flex just because there's 10,000 of them. I have some sets. There's only 500 of them. There's only 1,000 of them. No one cares. It doesn't matter. So just because there's 10,000, big deal. The numbers that make sense, like area codes, especially for big city 212, things like that make a lot of sense. The random numbers, I think, are pretty much done.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think a part of the buying thesis for the 4 digits, people were tying them back to like the Punk, Serials, Azuki, Bored Ape, but there's also so many other ways to do that. So I could get,
you can put a punk and then those numbers after it. That's what people do on Twitter.
Right. So it's not like you've cemented those 4 digits. So I'm kind of out on it. I could see 5-digit, like the premier zip codes. Sure. 90210. I'm sure that's taken already.
Yeah.
I think what's still being slept on a little bit to me is I actually like the 3-letter combos for the initial use case.
Yeah.
If you think a lot of people will be using ENS and the .eth in the next 10 to 20 years, and this is the future, I think the initials could be a big play. And
that makes more sense than 4. I'll take the 3 letters over 4 numbers long term.
So it's all interesting. I think there's also the bear case is, we're going to get multiple other domains or, prefixes to .eth, and, there's going to be a much broader supply, and these may not hold value. But we've seen some big sales already, so this will be an interesting market. Definitely a fun little twist on the week. The last story, and this kind of started last week, but it has expanded the narrative this week. I want to touch on it because it's a product that I love. I've been talking about it for a little bit, but the artifact and the monolith reveal. So we finally got the monolith reveal late last week, or it might have been 2 weeks ago at this point. And we got 3 items in the box. So we got the Nike Dunk Genesis Crypto Kicks, the Gen 1 Nike digital shoes. Each one came with the skin vial, and then you get Monolith 2. So essentially their next kind of secret generator of some kind. So I love this drop. I actually don't think enough people are talking about the importance of Nike's first generation digital shoe. There's only 20,000 of these. There's only ever going to be 20,000 of these. The market is done okay. So it's sitting at 2. It's actually down. I think they came out of the gate around 3.5 ETH or 4. So they are down a bit. But what the interesting news from this week is they introduced this concept of evolution for the skins, the vials that you apply to the shoes to change the way they look. And they've got a first glimpse here of the demon shoes. You see on the left the demons, and then what an evolution 3 could potentially look like for these. So I think it's pretty interesting. Clearly the artifact team is experimenting, is innovative, and I think one of the power players in the space. I'm curious if you've been following this much, Brett. Do you have much of a take on kind of the monolith reveal, the shoes, or anything else?
Yeah, I followed it a bit. Personally, I'm not a big wearables fan. I don't think I own one wearable. I think that like the metaverse where people want to use this stuff is still far away. So it doesn't interest me that much, but I do think it's cool. If I were to buy wearables, Nike makes a ton of sense. It's been a while, but I used to you go to the Nike website just in the regular world and sort of customize your shoe that you wanted. They had different colors, different options. That's kind of fun. And I think the same format here where you can take that shoe, you can customize it, however, upgrade it, I think is going to appeal to a lot of people. They're obviously going pretty hard on the sort of metaverse where you can have your Clone X or whatever, or probably whoever you want can wear these shoes. So I think it's cool. But again, I don't think that metaverse where people want to be hanging out wearing these shoes is like anywhere close. So I'm not, I don't really buy wearables.
I'm with you there. I think that is definitely the near term risk. I think we've already seen that in the price action is even if you like these kicks, there's more near term opportunities like Yuga Land or other upcoming drops. And I think people are selling them potentially with the hopes to buy back. And it's hard for me to argue with that. Certainly, like we won't be wearing these in the metaverse, in Q2, right? Or maybe even in 2022 at all. So I get it, but I definitely think long term these are going to be a big deal here. So
2 ETH for the Nike Genesis drop, right? Because Artifact did Clone X before Nike bought them. So the first Nike one, I mean, hard to argue with that. If you just want to say, hey, it's Nike, I'm just going to hold it. That's fine. But I think like short term, it's not a place I would go with 2 ETH.
Yeah, I'm with you. Well, let's look where the money did trade this week. So I'm going to show the Lucky Trader project rankings board here. So Moonbirds, 21,000 ETH topped the board. A bit of a hangover week from their blow-off week the week before. Still did 600 sales. The floor dipped into the 20s. It's back up to 32 ahead. There's actually a Kevin Rose Spaces going on right now against the show where he's explaining a little bit more hints at the roadmap and what they've been working on. So overall, I think an expected dip. We'll be very curious where these go. What's interesting is this number right here, 202 are listed for sale right now out of 10,000 because of that nesting mechanic. So I think that's a big deal. And if we see any buy pressure at all, the floor can move up pretty fast. And we saw that yesterday when it went 26 to 33 in just a handful of hours. We touched on the mutants and the Bored Apes. They combined for 37,000 ETH, just absurd numbers. Curious for your reactions to VFriends. So VFriends 2 came out, did 15,000 ETH on the week of their reveal. Floor got to 1.2 pre-reveal. It's now sitting at 0.8. Were you watching this one? Did you play it at all, Brett? Any reactions?
No, it's not for me. I vaguely saw other people mentioning it, so I was somewhat aware of the price and the supply. But I looked at the first VFriends. It took a few days to mint out, and I was like, it's kind of expensive. It's minting slowly, and it turned out to be a huge home run. And then whatever, I just never paid much attention after that. The price of the first one got away from where I had any interest. And then I figured there's just so much hype and awareness around the second one. There's not really an edge for me to trade that. So I just didn't even pay attention.
Very fair. And Gary already came out and said, don't expect a whole lot of utility in this one. If you want utility, go to the Vayner Sports Pass. So I'll be interested to see how those two sets kind of trade against each other. Pretty similar supplies. A few other narratives from this week. Meebits. So one of the founders of Bored Ape Yacht Club hinted at some potential utility for Meebits. Of course, the market ran with that. They ran all the way past 70th. Now they're sitting back around 6. So that utility is probably months away. Will be interesting to see how those continue to trade. 8-Bit Me. I know you were involved in these at least briefly.
Yeah.
They had a crazy night. They ran all the way to 3.2 ETH, and then they just have been kind of crashing ever since. Any reactions to that one? Just kind of a crazy.
I think it was Moonbirds adjacent is what sparked that run. I think Kevin wrote this some company from 2010 that was doing digital avatars. I sold way before. I don't even know if I made money on these. It was I think I broke even-ish. It was it was one of those things that just kind of aped in on bought 5 or 10 and then was I don't know about this. And then they didn't go anywhere for weeks. It was low. It was 0.02 or something. And then I think Kevin Rose did some work with them 10 years ago and it just went nuts. So what I don't know. I mean, I try not to sell stuff that low. I think I was selling 0.1 or so. Mm-hmm. But 0.02, I usually I'll just go along for the ride at that point. I sometimes I'll regret a decision if I sell something that and I'm how did I not see that? This one, I'm happy with the decision I made, the thought process. And if it was this, Kevin Rose worked with these guys 10 years ago, okay, I'm not going to research every background of every company to know something like that. So I'm okay missing it. We
do need to research Kevin Rose's background.
That's true.
That he has worked on or ever touched or traded. But the other big narrative for this week was a new project called Ragnarok Meta. It dropped. It was fairly a stealth launch to me. It wasn't really on my radar. It came out. They had an innovative mint process where you had to kind of slay a monster. It was a 0.77 mint in the pre-sale. It sold out instantly. They had their whitelist sale yesterday, and now about 80 to 90% of the supply is out here. Probably 80%. It's holding a 2.854, up 4x from mint. People are calling it the next Azuki already.
Art's basically exactly the same, so I can see why they would say that.
I think that's part of the downside risk here. Part of the game, they're building a game. It's an RPG. They've got a roadmap that kind of hits all the hot buttons. They got a token launch and all of that. I'm kind of with you there. I felt like the art is too similar to Azuki's. We've never really seen a derivative or something that appears to be a derivative do that well.
This is I'll say this week was. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but it's really impressive that they've held this price with the land sale. They launched at one of the worst times almost, right? A few days before the biggest drop of the year. So I'll say that it's impressive they're holding this price. It's not for me, right? Like we've seen so many projects that just promise the moon. This is one of them. We're building the game. We've got the staking. Like we've got literally every checkbox that you can click. You look at the team, it's basically an anonymous team. It's like there's no real, it's just got people on Twitter. There's no real track record. Games are very difficult. The art is essentially extremely similar to Azuki. I think everyone I know that's in it is only in it because everyone else is in it. Like there's no like this game's going to be great. There's no this team's really going to execute. It's like this is hot and like I really like the price action. And that can shift. So I would be careful. If I would first off, I would have already sold if I were in here. But for me, if you're a momentum trader, I think this was probably a great trade. You're just kind of along with the herd. If you're looking at like, hey, I want to invest in like the winning games. I haven't seen a whole lot here that makes me think this game is going to do anything.
Yeah, spot on. I agree with you 100%. So not much else to add. I did trade this, but I've actually exited. I was concerned about, kind of a fall off ahead of Yuga sale. I'll say if this maintains momentum into next week, though, and it has a good reveal, it could definitely see some incredible momentum. So we'll be watching it. A few minutes left here. I'm going to skip the floors. Go ahead and check those. I think my big takeaway when I was preparing for the show is almost all of the blue chips are up on the 30-day, while most of the lower end board is in red. And I think that goes along with the theme that we're seeing. It's consolidation into the top end projects, and that's impacting the lowest end. And I think we're going to continue to see that trend. And then just some shuffling, jostling when the great new projects come into the space. So continue to watch out for that. Upcoming drops wise, we've got an art blocks. It's live right now. Let's check in, see how it's doing. Okay, it looks like it appears to have been paused. Oh wait, no, it's open. 357 minted here out of 800. What price are we at? Let's see. If we go into the Anti-Cyclone by William Mappin, if we can get to the. All right, I'm not seeing it. So halfway through, imagine it will likely mint out here. Okay, we're at 1 ETH. So it'll probably go soon. So I'll be curious how Artblocks does here after a few week break. The big drop on my radar, and I don't know if this has been on yours, Brett. It's called the Phantom Network Project PXN. So they announced they're doing their public sale May 4th, whitelist on the 5th. Their Twitter account has 400,000 followers. I know from friends in the Project NanoPass community, this is their slam dunk play of kind of the next month or two. This could very well be, one of the most hyped drops of Q2. Of course, Otherside is number one here. They're launching at a great time. If this Otherside sale goes well, the market will be really liquid. I'm curious, have you been following this one or have any thoughts on their drop next week?
I'm vaguely following. I'm following their Twitter. I know of it. I'm kind of like I'm focused on the other side. Essentially, that's where my focus has been, just preparing for that sale because I think it's just such a slam dunk. And then I'll be looking for post sale. Again, I plan to exit at least my initial investment, ideally assuming I'm up, and then maybe I don't love the super hype. Awareness, I don't know necessarily what edge there is. I don't have whitelist, so public sale is going to be some insane gas. Or if you say just get in right away on early secondary, maybe that's the best way to play it, similar to Ragnarok, because you still have the people flipping. But I honestly haven't researched it enough. It looks cool, but I think it could be a good momentum trade, but I don't know if that's where I'm going to go.
Yeah, and we'll have a shot to cover it on next Friday's show. At least see a day of the action because I think the sale will be Thursday.
Okay.
They've got.
I'll be watching. I might hop in. I just don't know enough yet.
No, I think you're spot on. So clearly the attention's there. It's all going to be price dependent. I think part of the reason Ragnarok has done so well is that it was a fairly approachable entry point, 0.77 on the mint, and then if you were quick, you could have bought it for low ones there in the first 20 to 30 minutes post-sale. So if this comes out at a similar price point, then I could definitely see it doing well. If it's one of those where it comes out of the gate at 8 ETH, like Capes, products like
This is
that.
this is a lot more hype than Ragnarok, and right after Ragnarok, like I don't think that. Yeah, I'm buying this at 1 for sure. I don't think I'm going to have that shot. I don't think I'll 3. I think on secondary, just totally guessing, but early indication. I don't even know if you can get in there. So now am I going to pay? I don't really like paying over 3 for some brand new thing. So like I probably pass there, but again, if it is anywhere near the Ragnarok price, I'd spin the wheel.
I'm with you. All right, Brett, that's all that I had on my list for today. I think we covered a lot. Anything else from your side?
That's it. See you next week.
Well, thanks for coming on. To our listeners and viewers, as always, thanks for tuning in. We will be back next Friday to recap how the Otherside sale went. Might have some initial reactions to the Phantom drop as well. So tune in. Till then, stay safe out there. Good luck this weekend. Goodbye.